So I'm all about trying to find the most value for your money. And in this video, we're gonna be looking at some awesome affordable watches that look way more expensive than what the price tag would indicate. I wanna make this a two-part series, so leave suggestions for the next part of this series down below. Guys, let's jump into it. All right guys, so I wanna keep all of our watches under the price point of $500, but let's start off our list looking at a very affordable option with the Timex Weekender chronograph. So I've owned one of these watches in the past. The specific version that I owned was the Timex Weekender chronograph with the blue face. Of course, you have a green dialed option, the white dial option, as well as a black option and some others. I just think this one looks a little bit more expensive just from the look of it. This watch comes in with a price point of $35 to $50. Case size of 40 millimeters, powered by a quartz movement, and is water resistant up to 30 meters. So in many of my videos, I have mentioned a watch, the Seiko SUP880. It's an awesome looking dress watch, solar powered, great power reserve that you really won't have to worry about whatsoever, and it looks very elegant for the price point. But I wanted to switch it up instead of presenting that one again with a very awesome alternative and another one to consider if you're looking for a square rectangular style watch. And that is the Seiko SUP896. So this watch follows suit with the Seiko SUP880 with its case design. It comes in with a case width of 28 millimeters, has a price of $119, powered by a Seiko V115 movement that has a 12-month power reserve and is water resistant up to 50 meters. So whenever I mention affordable, that phrase always I feel elicits the mention of this brand, Vostok. And whenever I hear Vostok, I may see it always in the comments. People are really have a cult-like following for this brand. And you always hear about the Amphibia line, maybe the Commandeersky line. I've looked at those watches on my channel before, but a watch that I've really overlooked for a good amount of time is the Classica. And this watch honestly could be my favorite Vostok watch that I have seen. And these watches come with a price point of $150, case size of 39 millimeters. They are powered by a manual Vostok 240901 movement and are water resistant up to 50 meters. They have many different dial variations that you can go for with colors. I think my personal favorite is the white dial variation that you can go for. And honestly, I don't know why these don't have the same following as the Amphibias do, because I think they're really good looking watches for the money. And these watches remind me of another watch, primarily the Timex Marlin, and that's a perfect segue for our next watch on the list. So here we have the Timex Marlin. We're looking at a specific version of the Marlin, Timex Marlin Blackout Edition. So I've done an entire review of this watch, and I have to say, when I got my hands on this thing, I was incredibly impressed with just how it looked. It had a glossy black dial that really stood out compared to its counterpart with its silver dial that was released back in 2017 as a reissue. So watch comes in $200 price point, case size of 34 millimeters. It does wear pretty true to size as well. If you do have a wrist, say above 7.5 inches, I can imagine this being a no-go for you, but it is powered by a manual movement and is water resistant up to 30 meters. Really love the Arabic numerals on this thing and just that black dial. It really does stand out. So for this next watch, it's one that I've mentioned many times before. You're probably sick of it. However, there's just no way to go around it. The Orient Bambino is a watch that does look more expensive than what it is. I did a video with my girlfriend and I had her guess prices, and this is what she had to say about guessing the price of this particular watch. So this is the Orient Bambino. What would you say this is worth?
10,000.
10,000? Okay. You can get that for around $100.
What?
Yeah, $100.
Oh, Orient just sounded fancy.
Yeah,
I had.
What do you think? Do you think that's a good looking watch?
Yeah, for $100 for sure.
Cool.
Yeah.
So with that being said, let's look at that particular model, and that is the Orient Bambino 2nd generation version 1. So this watch comes with a price point of $140, case size of 40.5 millimeters. So a little bit large. Another thing I'll say, it does have a 21 millimeter lug width, so that's going to be a little bit more difficult when buying straps. I usually recommend just going for a 22 millimeter strap for watches where you can kind of just push it in, make it fit, instead of going ahead and investing money in 21 millimeters. Movement here is an automatic Orient F6724. You have many different dial variations here as well. My particular favorite, I think, is the black with the silver indices, and then water resistance here, 30 meters. All right, guys, I wanted to mention one micro brand on the list here today, and that is Dan Henry. And the Dan Henry watch we're going to be looking at is the Dan Henry 1964 Gran Turismo. So I've looked at the Dan Henry 1970. These were super compressor divers, and I was really impressed with the quality, but I think there's something about these chronographs chronographs that I think really exude a level of elegance way above a $250 price point. So these watches are coming in at a 38mm case. You have many different dial variations, and you also have the option of going for a date or a no date. Personally, I like the no date option. I think it has a better level of symmetry, and I've never been a big fan of 4 o'clock date windows. Movement here is a Seiko VK63. This is a Mecha Quartz movement, so you're gonna have more of that sweeping second-hand look. For this watch's dimensions, on top of that 38mm, 44.7mm lug-to-lug height. So it is gonna wear a little bit larger. I'd say it probably wears more like a 39 to 40mm watch, just something to consider. But a really clean looking watch for the money, and I think Dan Henry just knocked it out of the park with this watch. Now for our next choice, we have the Orient Star Classic, and this is personally my favorite watch from the Orient Star line, or pretty close to it, I would say. For the price, we are looking at $275 to $325. Very accommodating 38.5mm case, powered by an automatic Orient 40N52 movement, and is water resistant up to 50 meters. This watch has beautiful Dauphine hands. I found a lot of similarities. I've mentioned it before with this and like the Sarv line from Seiko, and just their offering. I think a little bit more quality and craftsmanship and really good value for money. Honestly, if I had to look at this in a vacuum, I'd probably say it's probably 3 to 4 times the price of what it's actually currently at. So guys, what do you think of the choices so far? If you want to mention watches that should be included in the part 2 of this series, leave comments down below, but give this video a thumbs up, subscribe, and hit that bell icon if you are new here. All right, for our next watch, this is a watch that I've recently got my hands on. I want to do a full review, and I'm actually going to be giving away the watch as well in a giveaway. So if you want to have the chance to win that particular watch, this beautiful watch, fill out the giveaway form and be following me on Instagram. This will be an Instagram exclusive giveaway, so you have to be following me there. So the watch is the Seiko SRPC 93. This watch comes with a price point of $320 to $396. I picked up mine for $330, so pretty good on this low end here. Case size is 44mm, powered by an automatic Seiko 4R35 movement, and is water resistant up to 200 meters. It meets ISO diver standards, and I think the main standout here, come on, let's be honest, look at this thing. You see that beautiful blue wave pattern gradient dial. When I was going ahead and I did a video where I went around and shopped at different retail stores to try to find the best deals, kind of a fun video and different video. If you want to watch it, definitely will link to it down below. I saw this thing in the display cases, and it just absolutely stood out. And when I got my hands on it, I was just really impressed. It's still a very large watch and hefty watch on the wrist. It is heavy with its case. Bracelet could probably be a little bit better, but a really awesome watch for the money, and I think it does elicit a lot of compliments with that blue dial. So now we have a really interesting watch, a watch that looks very similar to a very iconic watch, one of the most iconic watches of all time, but it does have its own line of history that I think should be applauded, and that is the Bulova Lunar Pilot. So back in 1971, Bulova made a watch for the astronaut David Scott, who wore a model of this watch during the Apollo 15 space mission. His specific watch surfaced back in 2015, and later that year it sold for a whopping $1.3 million at auctions. So this rendition of this older classic model that was made for David Scott has a case size of 45mm, pretty true to its original size. Movement is a high performance quartz movement, and then water resistance up to 50 meters. So the really standout thing here is this watch's actual movement. And I know it's a quartz movement, but it does have some unique technology. It has a 3-prong 4 quartz crystal, very different than the 2-prong quartz that you'll often see with many standard quartz movements nowadays. And with that, it's allowing the quartz crystal to vibrate 8 times more than the standard frequency of a typical quartz watch. Bulova claims that this movement can stay accurate plus or minus 10 seconds every year. So that's a pretty big claim and a very high level of accuracy that you're getting with a watch that comes with a pretty reasonable price point. And I think from a look standpoint, looks way more expensive when you're looking at it. Now we're going back to Seiko with our next choice. And I think if we had to pick the one watch on this list that I think does the best job for value for money and just how it looks compared to what the price point actually indicates, I would say this would probably be number 1. And that is the Seiko Cocktail Timeline. So these are just beautiful watches. You have a lot of different variations. If you want to go for the SRPB 46 with its amber dial, or maybe a simple silver with blue hands with the SRPB 77. Another favorite of mine is the SRPB 41 with a blue dial. Really awesome looking watches and just look way more expensive than what the price point would indicate. When considering that, we're looking at $290 to $500 on average. Case size is 40.5mm. These watches do wear a little bit smaller than the case size would indicate. They are powered by a Seiko 4R35 movement and then are water resistant up to 50 meters. When I was mentioning just feedback from people on what watches should be included in the Facebook group, and if you want to be a member of that group, it's in-house movement. I can link to it down below if you want to join it. This was by far the most requested watch. So a big round of applause for you guys for bringing this up. I think absolutely needs to be included in this list. And then the second most requested watch is our last choice here, and that is the Tissot Visodate. So this is a watch that I have owned in the past as well, and I will also speak to its ability to look way more expensive than what the price point has it at. So price point here, depending on the dial that you're going for, the black dial version tends to go a little bit cheaper, more on that $300 side of the spectrum of the price point. And then most of these can go all the way up to $500 if you want to go for the white. And then it looks like Tissot also released a blue dial version that you can go for. Case size here is 38 millimeters. I think that is the perfect size for a modern day size dress watch. Not too large, not too small. Movement here, automatic ETA 2836-2, and then is water resistant up to 30 meters. I think there's a lot to love about this watch, one being the retro Tissot logo. I personally like this a little bit more, and I kind of like when Tissot brings this back for some of their heritage pieces, and I think it's just a great looking watch. Great dress watch, could definitely hit with any other dress watches in this price range, and great value for money. All right guys, so thanks so much for watching. Leave comments down below. I want to see suggestions for maybe future parts of this series. I know there's a ton of watches out there, so that'd be really appreciated on my end when trying to construct these lists. Also, don't be a watch enthusiast that does not consider watch straps, because it really does help scratch the itch of trying to get that new watch feel without actually having to spend on a new watch. On my website, I have some of the best watch straps for the price point in the industry. Definitely go there, check them out. Any purchase would also support the channel. So guys, thank you so much for watching. Subscribe, hit the bell icon if you like this video, and of course, be well, and I will see you all very soon.